if your painter include this, a primer inside his quotation and give it to you, please, as an homeowner, don't ignore this. Don't ignore this. If you ignore this, you might regret it. And let me tell you why. Why do we need a primer before we apply our paint? We have been talking about priming and priming and priming. Some people are still arguing about it. We don't need to prime. Okay, that's fine. Now, let me just tell you the reason why we need to use a primer. First and foremost, let us understand the fact that for every finish you need to achieve, it's coming on a substrate. What is a substrate? Let's start from that. A substrate. This is our substrate. Right? This is our substrate. This our substrate can be a plastered wall. This our substrate can be a wood finish. This our substrate can be a metal surface. So for you to turn your substrate into a surface, you need to apply something on top of it. Alright, but this substrate cannot just stand on its own. This substrate cannot just be there without doing the necessary surface preparation on this substrate. This is the substrate. Before we can bring in our paint, let's imagine that this is our paint. This is the film layer of our paint. This is our paint. Before we can actually bring this on top of our substrate, something must happen in between them. Something must happen in between our substrates before we can actually have our what? Our finishing coat, which is our paint. Alright, I want to try to explain this to us as an homeowner so that we can digest, even as a painter, so that we can also see the importance of priming. These are our substrates. Something will happen on top of it. I did a video talking about priming before you skim your surface. Even priming before you skim your surface is very, very important, because there are some substrates that they are chemically active. There are some substrates that has what we call alkalinity in them. There are some substrates that they are not fully cured. All these kind of substrates should be primed with the respective primer before we can even say we want to skim with our skimming putty. Let's leave that aside. Let's focus on this. This is our substrate, like I told you, which is our what? Plastered wall. Our plastered wall. That is after your mason guys have completed their job. That is this is your substrate. So this second one is our what? This is our what? Our skimming material. Skimming material. This is our skimming material. You know that when you get to a new site that has a virgin wall, like a plastered wall, so this is our plastered wall. This is our skimming material. This is our paint. This is our top coat, our finishing coat. But before we get to this finishing coat, a lot of things will happen in between here for you to achieve what? A complete painting system. After you apply this layer of skimming putty on this substrate, get it again. After you apply this skimming putty on this substrate, you are creating another layer on this substrate, right? Good. You now start what we call surface preparation on top of this what? This skimming surface. This is another skimming surface, which is also another substrate for another material. Let me just give you a summary understanding of substrate and surface. Your substrate is what? The underlayer. While your surface is what? The outer layer. So whatever you have under a particular finish is your substrate. Whatever you have as your final finish that you are seeing on your wall is your what? Is your surface. This board now, this is the surface of this board. Underneath this particular glossy surface of this board is something. Whatever is underneath it is called substrate. Okay, good. Don't forget, this is where we are heading to, this particular finishing line. Alright, after this, we start our surface preparation. And we all know this process. You sand your wall, you prime your wall, you sand, you dust, you primer, and the likes. Now we carry out our sanding. When you sand your wall, it is expected your wall will be dusty. Once your wall is dusty, what do? This is when you now bring in your primer. So this is our primer. This is our what? Our primer. This is the layer of our what? Our primer. So our primer is coming on top of our what? Skin surface. And I also told you that your primer can also come underneath your skin surface for more durability. Alright. So after we apply our primer, that is when you now apply your what? Your what? Our undercoat. Our undercoat. This is our undercoat. This is our primer. This is our undercoat. Then we now have our what? Our first coat. First coat. Before we now get to the final stage, which is our what? Our first coat. I'm only using this to differentiate it. Before we now get to our what? Our finishing coat. Our finishing coat. Alright, a diagram or a demonstration of what? Of a complete painting system. Now let's go back to this priming stage. This is where we need to discuss about. I just want us to understand that before you get to your final coat, before you get to your finishing coat, this must come into play. Without this, your painting system did not complete. Okay, now this primer, what is this primer going to do to all these remaining layers? Number one, this is your primer. It's going to increase the adhesion between all this to this. Let me put it to you again. Let me say it again. This primer is going to increase the adhesion of all this to this. This primer is what is going to bind all this very well to this. This primer is what is going to reduce the quantity of all this that you are going to use on this. This primer is what is going to give all this better coverage when you are applying them. This primer is what is going to make all this even spread more when you are applying them. Can you see the usefulness of primers now? So this primer, this particular portion of primer is very, very, very important and very, very key. So we should try never to omit it. So if your painter requested for a primer, please let them buy it. It's for your own good. So that when it's time for your painting film, your painting layers to face some difficult challenges, some harsh weather or some harsh conditions, this will be able to hold them firm to your what? To your substrate. And don't forget, I told you the other time that your substrate is what is your under layer, while your surface is what is your outer layer. So if we complete this system now, our outer layer, which is our surface, will be what? Our finishing coat.